Hey everyone, and welcome back to our Cities Skylines Let's Play. So, up to episode 2 now, and last time around we got our initial city built, got some of our industrial and our residential and commercial areas set up, which is fantastic. So, this time around what we're going to do is actually expand out into this area, build out our residential. We're going to need to add another commercial area in over here. We want to keep our commercial away from our residential as much as possible, really. So that's the way we've got our zoning set up at the moment, if you haven't watched the first video. So that should be pretty good. Actually, what we're going to do, just before we do that, is fill in all of this with sort of the rest of our residential, and just take out that little bit there. So that should be pretty good for now. So we did sort of get a milestone just before we finished the last video. So what did we get? We got police station and firehouse. So we have to put both of those down quite quickly. We have a fair bit of money, so I'm thinking we may sort of do that just now, actually, just to start with. So it's out of the way and don't have to worry about it too much. So we put our firehouse down here. I think that should work quite well. So we put that one down there. And then jump over to the police station and we can put that one down right about there. So, both of those are down and we still got around 20,000 in cash, also getting around 1,300 cash flows or income, so that's quite good, so our money should build up fairly quickly. So definitely getting a lot of residential and commercial demand, so what I think we might do, a little bit of residential which we put down just there, I think we're actually going to create a new sort of commercial area over here, and then we can sort of infill it with the rest of, or a bunch of residential housing there. So, what we're going to do, we're basically going to sort of follow this model. We're just going to bring a road all the way around. So I think we'll sort of start it just from here maybe, and get the freeform tool. So bring this out this way. So bring it out like along there, and then right around and to the end like that. So I think that's going to work pretty well like that. So we will put down some commercial. I think we'll just probably basically sort of fill it in like this and up to there. We're going to need a little bit of power, so what we can do is sort of just run some power lines there and grab some water pipes and bring those along like this. So that should be all good for now. So we'll let that run for a little bit, let some of this fill in, and then we'll jump in and fill out this residential area over there. So what I'm thinking we may do, so we may do a little bit of a different layout than what we've got here. It's a little bit of a smaller area as well, so that's sort of maybe what we do. Thinking maybe sort of just have like sort of a loop a little bit in here, like a bigger one, and then maybe even sort of like a second one over there. I'm not really sure actually. We'll just see what we feel like, see what we run with, and that will be good. So I'm just gonna have a look. So we've got some unique buildings here at the moment, so like a plaza. So I don't think we're going to quite be able to get a park in, although there may be like a smaller park than this one. That's okay, we can deal with that later. Have a look when we get actually access to decorations. And we can start making everything look a little bit prettier. So we have a fire over here, but that's okay. The fire truck or the fire station is looking after that one. Actually thinking as well, I was thinking about it last night during the Let's Play, sort of may actually sort of try and see if we can put like a path along here, so maybe even like a cycling track or something like that, all along the water along here, and then maybe even sort of down here, and it'd be something quite cool to do. So really is pretty good that like your citizens in your city actually use a lot of the paths that you put down, so like gravel paths around parks and like cycling tracks and things like that. It really is quite cool. So see the police here responding to calls, and everything's going pretty well, so getting some commercial build up there. So we're just going to jump over here, pause the video for a minute, and we're going to sort out our residential area over here. So what can we do, guys? Thinking if we can put sort of like a loop sort of just around here, will be good. And then, so I'm not sure actually where this road's going to go, so maybe if we sort out this road first and then we can sort of deal with it then. So we can sort of either bring it through like this and then just put a loop in there, or we can sort of maybe try and follow it around again and sort of do the same thing here. So we might do that actually, so just have a little bit of symmetry, so we might sort of bring it around like that, and then a little bit like that. And then what we're going to do in this area is basically just try and fill in this area like this, as much as we possibly can, like that. So a little bit of negative happiness there, so that's okay, but I think that's going to work fine. Just something a little bit different. It's better than straight roads anyway. So I think what we're going to do, we might actually have a connection through there. Oops, I didn't really want to do that. Didn't want to change those zonings. I didn't think it was going to. I think it's okay though. We'll sort of just run with that. Oops, and residential. So we have to change all this actually. Let's put that back to residential, which is good. So we have one entrance there, and maybe another sort of over here somewhere, or maybe one here. Yeah, I think probably here actually it makes a little bit more sense, doesn't it? So sort of have it like that, and then sort of leave all this area free. So I think we may actually sort of put like some paths and stuff through here. So we may actually sort of leave this patch through here a little bit blank, and then we actually may sort of leave a gap through here, and we can maybe put a park down and then run some paths and some trees and stuff, and have all that. Make it look quite nice. I think that's what we're going to do. So we'll lay down some more water pipes. So I think we're going to go from there through like that, just to pick up everything, and like that. So that's good. So it'll pick up the power, which is fine. So I'll start running the game again, and I will just take out that one. So start setting down all of this, and like that, and all the internal area in here as well. So that should be pretty good there. Get that area nice and built up. So everything's going pretty well. Bump up the speed a little bit, just to sort of fill in some of this demand. So actually having not enough workers, but that should be sorted out pretty quickly, so that'll be fine. Won't worry a bit too much about that. How we're looking for power. So actually, we've only got about 5 megawatts left, 4 now. And also our water is getting down quite a bit. So what we're going to do is jump into the budget area and put up our water budget to probably around 70%. Just like that and like this. We'll probably get into tweaking more the settings for like day and night a little bit later on. So once our city is a little bit more established and we can sort of see the patterns and stuff a little bit more. So like definitely overnight, I assume like power usage will drop quite a bit, just because people are, you know, in bed and they're not using things and the lights aren't on as much and all that kind of stuff. So but we'll have a look at that later on and sort that out. Right, so starting to fill in some of this area. Commercial as well is coming over here. Still a fair bit of commercial demand actually, so but we do have a lot of it zoned out, so they can sort out that when they want. May sort of actually just zone in the rest of it here. There's no real points to leaving it blank for the moment, so we're going to do that and just take out that area there and these few that were down here. So like I mentioned last time, we're actually not going to, I don't think we're going to fill in sort of either side of our roads in here. So we may actually eventually, if it sort of gets bad enough, get rid of the roundabout and put in some different traffic or some different lanes and things like that. So if we leave some space around here, we won't have to move too much. So we'll see how that goes. So traffic's going okay at the moment. It's starting to get a little bit of red, but it's not really too much of a problem yet. So that's pretty good. And we're starting to run out of power. So we are going to put down another windmill. So you can put that one down. I think we can put it down probably just over here. So put it down about there. So that'll be good. Get some more power running. And that is good. So a lot of our housing stuff is filling up here. And got a little bit of few gaps here, just filling that there. But that is pretty good. So I think we're sort of filling this areas here as well. There's no real point leaving it blank for the moment. So we'll do that like that, and that should be pretty good. So I think it's going pretty well. So, excuse me. What I'm thinking our sort of longer term plan is that once we build up a little bit more, so we're getting a lot of cash flow, so 2,000 income at the moment, which is a fair bit for this stage of the game, so that's quite good. So what I'm thinking we'll do, so our longer term plan is we'll sort of keep filling up this area, sort of keep building up our commercial and residential, and then once we've sort of filled up over here, we'll sort of do another sort of residential block over here. I'm thinking we may actually expand out, so, but I'm not quite sure where we're actually going to expand to. So we've got an abandoned building down here, so we'll just sort of demolish that. But I'm not really quite sure where we're going to expand to. So we've actually got access to our natural resources now. So we've got heaps of forestry over here, a little bit down here as well, but this is obviously a much more dense area over here. So we either do it sort of on this point here or sort of right over here on this area over there. Have a fair bit of agriculture here and big section over here, a tiny little bit over there. And lots of ores over here, and not a whole lot of oil or anything like that, so we won't worry too much about that. So it looks like we've hardly got any oil, so it's all the way sort of down over here, which we'll probably really never get to, I don't think. We probably won't expand out that far. But we, have that option if we want to. Not really a fan of ore mining anyway, so I prefer the sort of the eco-friendly farming or forestry. So we'll do that. Don't have any district set up, so we might do that quite soon. Yeah, so you have a fair bit of forestry over there. So thinking we actually may actually expand to the north. So may do that for a couple of reasons. So one, we can sort of get access to forestry, which is pretty good to set up and looks quite good and all that kind of stuff. And also that will give us access to the start of the river. And I think that's where we're actually going to put a dam later on. So I think that's probably the best place to put it is at the start of the river, and then we'll still have sort of water flow coming down here, which will give access to our pumps and then our sewage and stuff like that, so that'll be quite good. So I don't really have any sewage and stuff coming out too much there, no pollution, not too much noise pollution, which is pretty good, so most of our residential areas are free from that, which is nice, but we're going along pretty well. So what are we going to do? All of our commercial is actually built up, so it's actually built up really quite quickly, so thinking what we may do is sort of actually fill in this inner ring as well. So rather than just having the one out there, we sort of start filling in this as well, and then we can do maybe a little bit of a different residential setup over there. So that's what we may do. We're going to put it somewhere. I think it's probably better to have it over here rather than anywhere else. So that's what we're going to do. Set up some more commercial, and may just have it come around like that. So that should fix some of that demand, which would be good. So like I sort of mentioned when we started, like we're definitely going for like a sort of aesthetically pleasing city. So sort of no not many square lines and all that kind of stuff. So we haven't done a whole lot with decoration or anything at the moment because we actually don't have access to the decorations yet. So I think that's the next milestone, and then we sort of may spend a fair big chunk of an episode sort of making things look a lot better and putting down a lot of trees and things like that. So, but at the moment we're just better off getting our city up and running. So going pretty well. Money is building up quite quickly, which is good. So I don't really have any other services to put down for now, so that is fine. Means all of our services are good. We have a very low crime rate, which is fantastic, only 4%. Fire safety is a little high, but that's okay. Should come down in time. And traffic is still going okay. So starting to get a little bit more busy over here in the industrial area. And we're definitely going to want to get rid of that sort of within the next couple of episodes. So I think we may sort of expand out here quite soon. So we may extend our residential out this way. Then buy this tile, and then we can sort of expand our services. Because we will have to, when we expand out into a new industrial type area. So especially if, I think we're going to go into forestry. It probably just makes a little bit more sense. We're definitely going to need like some more services, so some more fire trucks and police and stuff over there. Otherwise, they'll sort of be ridden with problems or riddled with problems. So we'll have to do that a little bit later. So it's going to cost us a bit of money. So we'll wait for that. So we have our next milestone. Whereabouts is it? At 1400. So actually nearly there, which is pretty good. So we've built out all of this residential over here. I'm not really sure whether we should actually build along this road, because I'm thinking that maybe down the track if we have to get rid of this roundabout, we may sort of put a couple of big lanes sort of running right through here, and we can make them like, you know, tree-lined roads, so they reduces down on the noise pollution. So if we build along there, we're sort of going to have to get rid of all that. So I'm thinking we may not do that for the moment. I'm thinking maybe sort of build along here, and that could be sort of the better way to go. So thinking that's what we're going to do. So getting a lot of residential demand again, so I'm actually going to start building in this area over here. So what are we going to do? We may sort of just run a road down along here. So I'm sort of going to leave this area sort of open over here, because we're going to obviously expand out this way quite a bit, I suspect, down the track. So we sort of may leave that open like that. Probably do something just a little bit simple for this area. Not like that, like there. That, and run this around and down like that. So that should be pretty good. Might leave this area open. We can do something with that a little bit later on, but that should give us a nice big chunk of residential through here. So we're filling this inner area at the moment, and then we can fill out a little bit further. So these places here will have a few problems with noise pollution, but I think it's probably worth it. Like there's these houses along here which have quite a bit of noise pollution, but we can sort of upgrade these roads later on to have like tree-lined roads, which reduces the noise pollution down quite a bit, and also put a few trees down and stuff, which actually sort of helps with that. So we'll do that a bit later on. So got a lot of power, and put down some water pipes. So do one through there, and we'll actually run another one down there. So if we expand out later, that'll be well and truly covered. So that's going along pretty well. Some nice commercial in there, commercial and residential. Getting a little bit of industrial demand, but not a lot. So it actually sort of does plateau off at this time of the game, and then it will build up a little bit further later on. But once we get rid of this, we'll obviously have to replace it with quite a bit of forestry industry. But that'll be good, better than having noise or polluting heavy industry over there. So where are we going to go from here? So I think we may sort of start expanding some of these roads out and building along the water a little bit more, and then we can sort of plan to start buying. Once we have our next milestone, we can probably actually expand out by this tile. So I don't think it's going to cost too much. It's only 2,800, so that's really not a lot. So we can do that. No worries, especially once we get our next tile. So I think that's probably going to be the plan. So what we may do is actually start building out this road out along here like this. So what we may do is, so we may sort of come around like that, and then like this, and follow the water along like that. And then what we're going to do, but we don't really want to keep following the road like all the way along. It's going to look a little bit boring, so we may sort of cut it off, maybe bring it in here somewhere, and then do something a little bit different over here. So I'm thinking, obviously we've sorted out most of our commercial at the moment. We're not really going to keep wanting to build commercial in this area. Like I don't think we're probably even going to want to expand commercial even to sort of in this section over here. So we may actually sort of build a new, when we expand out this way, we may sort of build like a new commercial, like a shopping hub, like a precinct over here somewhere, like a separate one, and actually sort of bring in, build a new junction over here off the highway, and sort of actually bring in like another way into the city over here. So especially when we sort of start expanding out over here, if we have like a second way into the city, that'll reduce the traffic load on the roundabout and stuff over there, which will be good, and hopefully means that we won't have to make as many changes. So we're up to the next milestone. So what have we got now? We can get decorations. That'll be really good. So I don't think we'll jump into that now. We may have sort of like a decoration episode next time around, and we'll sort of spend the whole time making our area look a lot better. So we have a bunch of new policies, which is good. So we'll start setting those up soon. We'll actually put in some districts quite soon. And we also have access to the high school. So we're not going to put down the high school quite yet. I think we'll do that a little bit later on. But it's probably no real need to at the moment, so yes, so that'll be fine. So, what are we going to do? We're going to set up a few districts. So I think we're going to have, for the moment, we're just going to have this as all one district, and we'll probably change that a little bit later on. And yes, I think that's going to be the way to go. So we jump into the districts, and just going to make quite a large one for this area. So we will separate it out into like commercial and residential sectors and stuff later, but for now we're just sort of going to do this and sort of bring it just around here like this. So I'm not going to have too many policies and things at the moment, so they sort of just cost a little bit too much money, so we won't worry too much about them, but we'll just sort of fix up this district over here like that. So that should cover most of it there, which will be pretty good. So there we go. So we're going to have first districts. What are we going to call it? Not Cedar Park, that's a little bit boring. So what can we call it? We're going to call it Paradise Falls. There we go. So that'll be quite good there. And I didn't click enter, so we're going to do that again. There we go. That's better. Cool. So I won't bother creating a district for here because we'll set up our forestry and stuff in the next episode, so we won't worry too much about that. Some more residential down here. Thinking we may sort of fill out this area now. So they, like I sort of mentioned, they will have a lot of noise pollution here, but I think that's just the way they're going to have to suck it up and deal with it. So for now, we're going to expand some more of our residential out this way. So like that. I think we will sort of keep our keep this lane a little bit more free at the moment. If we need to, or we sort of change our mind, we can sort of fill that in later, especially if we sort of build a new like big intersection over here and bring us like a second way into the city. That may reduce the traffic here. And we may not need to sort of make any changes here, and then we can sort of basically backfill all of that in. But for now, we're going to keep that empty, and just as a little bit of a safeguard there. And what can we do? Maybe sort of just fill up this with some residential there like that. I have to run some more pumps through there, and we sort of do the same along here like this, like that. So that'd be good. So we've got a little bit of power, so we've got 4 megawatts, a fair bit of water, and we're still not doing 100% capacity, so that's good. So we won't need a water pump for quite some time. We're up to 1,500 population. We've got $40,000 in the bank, which is fantastic. So we've got quite a bit of money. So are there any policies that we sort of wanted to put in to start with, or at this point? Probably not, I'm thinking. Don't really need anything. So parks and recreation will be nice. So it just sort of increases land value and makes it a little bit, houses a little bit nicer and things. So that's something I like to do in the residential areas. But for now, I don't really think there's anything we need to do, so we won't worry too much about that. So, which is good. So no specializations or anything like that, so that's fine. I think we're actually going to buy, now they've got a bit of money, I'm actually going to buy this next tile over here. So this is our first expansion tile, which is good. So we've actually got access to all of this area over here. So this is definitely the densest place for forestry, but also means that we're going to have to either sort of come in from this side of the city and purchase like another tile or two. So we'd basically need, which we can't do at the moment anyway, but we'd need to purchase probably 2 tiles actually. So I think what we're going to do is actually sort of build up our forestry on this point over here. So we can actually sort of make it look quite cool, which would be nice. So have sort of a forestry industry set up on this point, and we can sort of run it up this sector where sort of a lot of the trees are, and have it down here, and then we can sort of keep expanding our city down around this way and sort of meet up a little bit over here. So I might sort of make this later on, we may make this a little bit more like high residential in this area, so sort of change a lot of this to high residential zoning, and that'll make, you know, like a lot more built up, and then we can sort of maybe slowly fade it down into like keep it into low density as we get sort of over here and make it a little bit more sparsely populated, and, you know, make it a little bit more rural and things like that. So that'll be quite cool. We're going to do that later. So everything's going pretty well. So we've got land value. So obviously, so that's another change actually. The first time we've seen this in After Dark is that on the water, actually automatically has an increased land value. So previously, before the expansion came out, this wasn't the case. So you had houses on the water, and they were basically just the same as everybody else. Obviously, because most people like to live along the water when they can, they've actually now put in this sort of automatic increased land value. So that's sort of another reason why we're going to be building along the water as much as possible with our housing. So we're also definitely going to expand out. Sort of just thinking about it at the moment. So definitely going to sort of keep expanding our residential along here, rather than actually sort of purchasing a tile over here and sort of expanding inland, which there's sort of like no sort of no real features or anything like that we can sort of work around, even though we can build up some nice areas and stuff. Thinking what we may actually do is expand out over here. So I can probably actually would have to get rid of a few houses along here. So probably along here somewhere, I'm thinking, or maybe here. I'm not really quite sure, but somewhere along here we actually sort of run a bridge across and build up a sort of a second residential area over here, maybe even another commercial area. So we can sort of do the same, build up a big commercial right along the highway here, and then sort of expand our residential out over here. I think we're going to be aiming to make sort of this starting area like quite an expensive high land value area, and then convert that to high residential later on, and we sort of make this more of a middle to low income area. So we can do that in a few different ways. So we can make it a little bit more, maybe a little bit more uniform in the way that we actually design and set out the city. So a little bit less interesting perhaps, and lots of like low residential, and so we can change it with some of the policies. We can sort of set it up to make it like a distinct area. So getting quite a bit of traffic in here now. So how's the traffic looking? So it is starting to build up a little bit. So definitely this roundabout is going to be definitely going to be our choking point, I think, over the long term. So we're up to nearly 2,000 population, so it has held up pretty well for now. So not too displeased about that. Definitely I don't have anywhere near gridlock or anything like that, but we are sort of starting to get some red in there. But I like the way it looks. I like the way it sort of moves the traffic around and stuff like that. So we're not too fussed about that. Really, I'm keen once we sort of build up our city, just want to expand all the way out here and over the other side of the river and down a little bit as well. I really like the nighttime sort of overview from this area. So like a lot of the street lights and stuff, it really looks like I suppose it looks like a real city, doesn't it? You see in planes when you're flying over, and photographs and things like that. It's basically what cities look like from the top. So very, very cool. What else we got? Population, crime, which I looked up. Don't really have any access to public transport. Levels of housing. So we're starting to get some residential go up to level 2. So we can see some of these here actually going up to the second level, which is nice. So a lot of that's influenced by land value and stuff like that, and education and happiness and all that kind of stuff. A few commercial, only a couple though, not many is up to the second level, but that should sort of start changing later on. We're out of power, so what we're going to do is we're going to put down another wind turbine. So we're going to put that down over here. So you put that like probably about there, would be good. Let's set up our own little wind farm over here, which would be nice, and we can set up some paths and some roads and sort of make this into a proper like a wind farm later on, which is what I plan to do. So that'd be good. So we're up to 28.5 minutes for this video, so I think we'll sort of just run it on for a little bit further. Our garbage truck is only 9% full for the landfill, so that is really quite nice. Getting a lot of industrial demand now, so we sort of filled out this area, and it sort of comes in like, you'll notice the demand in this game sort of comes in bursts. So industrial was flat for quite a long time, but we've sort of basically hit a threshold, and it's jumped up quite quickly, and quite a lot of commercial and stuff demand as well. So I'm actually sort of thinking, it looks like there's maybe a little bit more commercial demand in this expansion than there was before. Or maybe that's just maybe I don't really remember how the game was before, but it sort of does seem that it is a little bit more commercial than previously. So no, I actually did mention that we're not going to expand our commercial out, but I'm thinking we may actually do that now. Only because I don't really want to build up another commercial area yet. So it's going to mean these houses are going to be definitely less of a land value. But I mean, it's probably the strategy that we're going to go with anyway. So the closer to the water they are, the richer and the better off they're going to be. And sort of as we come more inland, it's going to be sort of a little bit more suburban, a little bit more middle class, and we'll try and build this up into rich areas. So that's obviously quite I get quite realistic in how sort of actual cities and things work. So along the water is generally the most expensive part of a suburb or area. So we'll sort of try and follow that mantra along. So our city is building up relatively well at the moment, and definitely going to have a big decoration episode next time. So we're going to sort of try and run some paths along the water, build up a lot of trees, try and run some paths through here. We're going to put down a few parks, even if we have to get rid of some houses. Try and fit one in here, but if not, we can put it here and sort of fill up this with houses. Put some more trees down sort of along the highway here. Try and build up our roundabout a little bit more, and just sort of make everything a little bit better to look at. So I think we're going quite well at the moment. Everything is looking really good. Actually running at 30.5 minutes. So I'm actually going to put a cut in here, guys. I think it's a good time. So we have huge amount of industrial demand. So next episode, what we're going to do is we're going to start with start building up our forestry over here. So we're actually going to build that up as like a replacement to our heavy industry over here. So, although I'm just thinking, if we do that, we're going to have to really run. We're going to either have to do one of two things. Actually, we've only got one option. So what we're going to have to do is basically run like another major highway through here, and run a bridge across, and that'll give us access to all of our trucks and stuff. So definitely don't want to build all the way through and link it up through here, because then we're going to have trucks running all the way through the city. I'm actually going to put a heavy truck ban on our areas over here, our residential areas a bit later on. So we're definitely not going to want to do that. So we're going to need another way to access this forestry area over here. So we could later purchase like another tile. I think we get another unlock. Yep. So we get another unlock in our next expansion, but we don't really want to sort of wait for that. So we'd sort of have to build, like, buy a tile over here, and then we sort of really wouldn't do anything with the rest of the land, so it'd be a little bit of waste. So we may sort of build another highway sort of right on the edge here. Come over here, build a bridge across, and that'll link up our area over here. So it's going to be quite expensive, but we do have a fair bit of income and stuff like that, so it's not too much of a problem. And that won't impact our plans also to build like another residential area over here. We can still build up our commercial here. We sort of just basically put it as close to the edge as we can and run it right along and stuff like that, so that won't be a problem there. But I think that's the way to go. So we can do that, and then all the trucks and stuff can run through that highway and not affect the rest of our city. And then we can get rid of our industrial area over here as well, which would be nice. And we can build up that, and I think that'll be good. So we'll spend the first part of the episode doing that, and then we'll spend the rest of it basically just decorating and making our city look a lot better. So that'll be the plan for next time, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you've all had a wonderful day from wherever you are watching, and I'll see you all soon.